Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Manhattan. For today's episode, we're just going to do a huge Q&A. I get a ton of questions from you guys online, so I thought it would be fun to do like a little catch-up Q&A episode. So let's get started. So in the past, I used to do Q&As all the time on my Instagram story, but since launching my podcast, Making It in Manhattan, I thought it would be really fun to move those Q&As over to here. So if you ever have a question, a comment, send me a DM and I will most likely answer it over here. I really also love the idea of these like Q&A catch-up episodes, maybe once every couple of months, because I feel like it's a really fun way for us to just like chat. And if you have a question that you've been dying to know, we can really like answer it right here, because on Instagram story, answering a question just in text, I feel so limited on what I can tell you guys and the advice that I can give. But on the podcast, I can ramble and just tell you guys everything and share all of my life stories and advice with you. So I really want to move all of my Instagram Q&As over here to Making It in Manhattan. So please send me your questions. I have about 13 lined up for today. So the very first one is, where did you go to college and what did you study? So yes, if you're maybe new to following me, I've talked about this in the past. I went to a small liberal arts college in Reading, Pennsylvania called Albright College. A lot of people ask me, Caroline, you grew up in New York. Why didn't you just go to college in New York? Why didn't you go to like FIT or Parsons or something like that? There's a few reasons. One, I used to be, if you can believe it, I used to be very athletic and I was a cross country and track runner. I started running when I was like 10 years old, and then I would competitively run in different road races. Then in high school, I ran all throughout high school. And so when college was coming up, I wanted to continue on with running. And funny enough, if you can believe it, there's a very limited amount of schools that have fashion programs and competitive running programs. It's almost non-existent. So with my mom, we did a ton of research trying to find different schools that had both and had both of my passions and both of the things I really wanted to do, because I didn't want to give up running yet. It had been such a big part of my life for so long. So eventually, honestly, literally through Google, we were Googling just like colleges with running and fashion. We found Albright College and did a little bit of research on it, went up, did like a visit, met with the fashion department, met with the track coach. And honestly, it was like a perfect fit for me. So happy that I went there. But the other reason I wanted to kind of like get out of New York and go to a college away from my hometown was essentially I grew up with two older sisters and a younger brother, and we all went to like the same school growing up. And so I was always a Vazzana. Oh, you're the little Vazzana sister. Like I was just kind of lumped in, which I don't mind. I love my sisters very much, but I was never my own person. And I don't think I even knew what it was to be my own person yet. Like I was just, oh, Virginia's little sister. Oh, you're Kathleen's little sister. So, because my sisters were nice, like, or did well in a certain class, like I just got like lumped into being like them or assumed that I would be like them. But in fact, me and my sisters were all so different, especially like my sisters are both doctors. They're brilliant, both honor students, and I am definitely more like creative minded. And I was always like a solid, I say like B plus student, but I was definitely not an honor student. And that can be hard sometimes when you're like living in a shadow of your older siblings and not really knowing who you are as a person. So I wanted to go to school far away, where it's funny, I told myself at the time when I was starting college, like, this is your chance to start completely over. If anybody's listening to this and you're getting ready to go to college or even starting freshman year of high school, this is your chance to completely like create a new identity, essentially. Like nobody knows you. If you were like really quiet in high school, or if you were, I don't even know, like unathletic or very shy or like never spoke spoke to guys or never dated anybody or never partied. Like, nobody knows. And so if going into college, you're like, I want to be the really outgoing person who is in all of the clubs and is super social and has tons of friends, do it. Like, nobody's judging you. There's no like preconceived notions of like who you are, who you're meant to be. In high school, or for me, like, I went to the same school like my whole life. So year after year, like, I couldn't just come in and reinvent myself and be a new person. People would be like, I mean, maybe I could have, but I think my classmates who grew up with me over the years would be like, is she okay? Is she like having a breakdown? But so I went into college with this mindset of like, I can completely create a new identity. I can just like be whoever I want to be. So essentially, that's what I did when I went to college. I was very shy in high school, as I may have told you guys in the past, and I was never one to stand out from the crowd and be bold, if you can literally believe it. And so when I went to college, I told myself I want to be the super outgoing person. I don't want to like hide my emotions. I want to speak out. Like, I just don't want to blend in anymore, I guess, if that makes sense. And I just want to be like, who is Caroline? Not just like, oh, she's the other Vazzana girl. Like, no, who is Caroline? So I really wanted to go to college away from home to just kind of like find who I was. And then another reason I went to a small liberal arts college to study fashion was I knew I wanted to study fashion, but I also wasn't 100% sure like what exactly in fashion I wanted to do. And I knew schools like FIT and Parsons were like a little bit more like you had to, I feel like, knew what you wanted to do in fashion. Like, you definitely want to be a designer, or you definitely want to be a buyer, or you definitely want to do marketing. And I knew I loved fashion, and I at the time thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. So for me, the liberal arts education gave me a little bit more freedom to kind of like explore different parts of the fashion industry. So the second part of the question was, what did you study? So I went in as a fashion design major, and as I mentioned, knew I loved fashion, thought I wanted to be a fashion designer because that's really the only aspect of the industry I was exposed to through Project Runway. And so thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. And then I took like one sewing class, and I was like, I don't know if I like want to be sewing forever. Like, I just don't know if that's for me. So I then broadened my major because my major was only fashion design. So I broadened my major to fashion design and merchandising. And at the school I was at, it really then gave me the opportunity to kind of like pick and choose the classes I wanted to take in both fields. So I took like some like portfolio development classes, and I'm trying to think, it was so long ago now, but I took different classes in both design centric and both in like more business centric, to kind of get both sides of things. And obviously the best life experience is just like doing it, like doing internships, being out in the field. Like, there's only so much you can learn in a classroom anyway when you're just reading a textbook. So I loved the college that I went to, wouldn't change anything. It definitely was a good fit for me, and especially where I was at 18 years old back then, it was like a very good fit for, I knew I wanted to study fashion, not exactly sure what in fashion I wanted to do, knew I wanted to run track and cross country, and knew I wanted to like spread my wings and get away from home and kind of just like find who I was meant to become. So for my second question, it kind of jumps off of the first question. It's, if you did go to a bigger fashion school, do you think you'd be where you are today? Honestly, I kind of don't, because I think there was a lot of benefits for me personally of going to a smaller liberal arts college. As I mentioned, I didn't have it all figured out at the time. Like, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to study in fashion, and I felt like going to an FIT or a Parsons, like, you at 18, I felt like you had to almost know already what you wanted to do. And I didn't know. I wasn't a really skilled sewer, or I didn't have like tons of magazine experience at 18. The high school I went to didn't even have an art program. So I just knew I loved fashion, but I didn't have a lot of experience in it to create this big meaty portfolio to then apply for colleges. So going to this smaller liberal arts college, I just got to be part of the fashion program and learn and absorb different parts of different jobs and of different, classes, and to take it all in and kind of figure out what I exactly wanted to do. Also, going to a smaller school, I was able to be a big fish in a small pond, if that makes sense. So I was able to really gain a lot of confidence in myself. And I've talked about this a lot, is I was so blindly confident in college. But I think part of that was the school I went to, my internships and, different things I was doing. They really were very proud of me. Whereas if I went to a huge fashion school, first of all, it might have been super competitive, and I had obviously tons of other people at my school who weren't just in fashion. So it wasn't like I was only surrounded by fashion people. So first of all, that sense of competitiveness, I don't know if it would have been hard to make friends and build meaningful connections. But it also allowed me to really become confident in myself and spread my wings, and which I might have not been able to do as much at a larger fashion school. I will say though, if you are really set on becoming a fashion designer, and you want to be a fashion designer, you're 18, you've already sewed and you have a portfolio, going to an FIT or a Parsons, I think could definitely be very, very beneficial, because they do have a lot of connections to, I'm sure, factories and manufacturers and who else, licensing agreements. I'm not sure specifically, but I'm sure they do have a lot more connections. And being in Manhattan as a fashion designer, trying to grow a brand and start a brand and get your pieces on models and on influencers and stuff, being in New York for that, I think is super, super beneficial. But if you're you love fashion, but you're not 100% sure what you want to do in fashion, I think going a different college route, a small liberal arts school, is definitely beneficial. But at the end of the day, it's what you feel most confident and comfortable with, and everyone's path is different, but that's just what really worked for me and got me to where I am now. So now my next question is, what's your favorite go-to outfit when you're not feeling colorful? That's a great question, because I feel just from looking at my social media, you might think, wow, she never has a day where she's not feeling inspired, where she doesn't want to get all dressed up. Please, I have my days too, guys, where I'm just stumped, or I have a day where I have an outfit in my head and then I go to put it on and it's just not working. The outfit I am wearing today, thankfully I had this outfit in my head and I put it on and it worked. But that doesn't always happen. And so on days like that, it's frustrating, especially if you're on a time crunch and you're I gotta get out of here. I was supposed to be out of here 20 minutes ago, and it's still not working. So I have some different outfit formulas that I think on a day where I'm just nothing's working, this is what I put on. So I love, it's funny, this is kind of one, a high-waisted oversized pair of pants. I think everyone should have a couple of those in their wardrobe. Different colors, different textures. I love this tan pair because it's really a great neutral that goes with a lot of different things. I'm wearing a tan pair today if you're not watching the video. But I also, I have green pairs and pink pairs, and just an oversized pair of pants is great. And then pairing it with a fun top. I would say usually my go-to if I'm just struggling is a nice printed blouse tucked in, a cool loafer or kitten heel, and a fun bag. That's a go-to formula. High-waisted pair of pants, printed blouse, loafer, kitten heel, and a tiny purse. Today I'm wearing a feathery top, obviously, because I knew that I had a feeling this outfit was going to work. I was felt very strongly about this outfit. I also love a nice, longer skirt. And I think on a day when you're just, not sure what to wear, a really full-waisted, it could be a tulle, or it could just be, I have this really full, nice red skirt, a nice full skirt, and again, a t-shirt, a printed t-shirt and a nice full skirt are go-to outfit formulas for me when I'm just not sure what to wear. And then literally when all else fails, I'll go into, I have tons of dresses, and I have what I call day dresses. So they're not dresses that are too fancy, because those are more for evening, but my day dresses are a little bit just more casual. Maybe they're to the knee or a little longer, and I'll just like throw that on with a chunky sneaker. Like that is when all else fails and I'm like, I gotta go. I needed to go so long ago. A fun day dress and a chunky sneaker and probably like a scrunched like white sock. Just go to like easy outfit formulas for me when I'm just feeling super uninspired. When I have more time and I can be more creative, that's when I love like mixing things together, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and kind of playing and having fun. Because getting dressed every morning is essentially an art, for me at least, and I love trying to mix together different textures and different, prints to play around and see what works. Like today I'm wearing these tan high-waisted wide leg pants, this cropped shirt that has pink feathers on it, these little sparkly Gucci kitten heels, and a printed purse. And before this, I just stopped in Starbucks to get something before I came to the podcast studio. And someone came up to me and was like, I love your outfit. Like, I just keep looking at it and it's so interesting, but everything really flows together and works. And that's the whole point of my style, is what I like to think is like, it's very eclectic, but it's never a costume and it never wears you. You're always wearing the outfit, and it's like a look that you look at it at first, the outfit, and you're like, wow, like that's really unexpected and I wouldn't think to put that together, but it works. Like that all works together. And that's what I always try to achieve with my style. It's like on the cusp of almost being a little bit too crazy, but then you're like, ooh, wait, but like those colors all work, and like the pink in the bag picks up on the pink in the feathers, and like it's just a vibe. So that's what I always am trying to achieve with my style. The next question that you guys submitted was, what's a holy grail piece that you've been looking for to add to your wardrobe? It's funny. I actually recently got one of my holy grail pieces. So I feel like I have, and I'll call it a mental list because it's not an actual like written down list, but it's a mental list of, for me, it's like different vintage pieces that I've seen throughout the years, or maybe I've spotted like online from an old runway show, or spotted in an episode of Sex and the City, and I just have that piece in mind, and I'm like, ooh, I would love to get my hands on that piece if I ever come across it on like eBay or the Real or whatever it might be. So there's this episode of Sex and the City where the girls all go to a party at the Playboy Mansion. If you're a Sex and the City fan, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And Samantha ends up buying a fake Fendi baguette, but it's like metallic gold. Like the whole bag is metallic gold. And then the F's for like, when a Fendi baguette closes, like the hardware, it's 2 F's. It's gold, but then it has like all like rhinestones in the F's. Like it's a really beautiful bag. They make it in a real version too. So there's a real Fendi baguette, but Samantha talks about how she got it for like $150 on the side of the street, and she found this fake Fendi baguette. So she wears it to the party at the Playboy Mansion, and essentially she puts her bag down and then she can't find it. And she sees like one of the Playboy bunnies wearing a gold Fendi baguette. So she just instantly assumes, oh my gosh, she says, that bunny stole my bag. Like that's what she keeps saying. So she runs over to this Playboy bunny and like rips the bag off her shoulder. And she's like, and I think Hugh Hefner comes up and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? She's like, that bunny took my bag. And so anyway, long story short, they look in the bag and that is a real one, and like that's actually the bunny's bag, like the gold Fendi baguette, and then they get kicked out of the party. So it's like a whole moment, but this gold metallic Fendi baguette is like an iconic piece, and there's ones online that are more of like a brushed gold. It's more of like a lighter silvery gold, and I see those a lot, but this one from that episode, it's like gold. So recently around my birthday, I was online and I found one being sold by this vintage bag reseller called Break Archive. I'm almost positive that's the name, Break Archive. And so I messaged them and I ended up getting the bag because they were going to put it in a drop, where a lot of vintage resellers do this. They do like limited drops once a month. But what happens when they do a drop is if I'm not quick enough, which I'm often not, I miss out on the piece because the drops will happen. Say they put up the drop at 12, by like 12:05, like half of the pieces are gone. So they posted on their website or on Instagram that, actually I saw it on TikTok first. They posted a TikTok like, this is our drop this month, and I saw the gold Fendi baguette. So I immediately messaged them. I was like, is there any way I can just buy it before the drop, please? Like, because it's not even like bidding. It's not like, oh, with the drop the prices get like hiked up and people bid for them. No. It just, whoever's fastest like can buy the bag. And I'm like so slow with like trying to put in my card information and everything. So anywho, I explained to them like my birthday was coming up and I've been searching for this bag forever. So they were so nice and they let me buy it before the drop. So that is one of my holy grail pieces. My that bunny took my bag, gold Fendi baguette. Like, that was on my list for so long and now I have it. So I'm very, very happy that I have my gold Fendi baguette and my Samantha Jones Fendi baguette, even though hers was fake and mine's the real one. But I had been looking for it forever and I'm so excited about it. So now I don't know what like the next thing on my list is. That was just a current one that I just got and I'm really excited about it. So the next question kind of goes off the last question. It's, what sites do you trust for shopping for vintage designer bags? So that's a great question. I actually have a whole episode I did recently about vintage shopping. So definitely head over and check out that episode because I not only go through like all my favorite vintage stores in New York City, but I also go through like all my favorite vintage resellers online. But for bags, I really do love shopping on eBay because eBay has an authenticity guarantee service with their designer bags. So if you're shopping on eBay, because I get a lot of my designer bags from eBay because the prices are really good and you can negotiate and go back and forth. But if the item has a blue check mark next to the name on the website, that means that if you buy the bag, eBay then authenticates it before it's sent to you. So if you buy it and it's not authenticated, like they'll cancel the sale and everything. But I find that to be really, really great. And then, I mean, I just bought from Break Archive, really enjoyed working with them. I love Vestiaire Collective. I know people have mixed emotions on the Real. I think it's all about just like doing your research, looking, being diligent. Yeah, where did I buy this one from? Sitting next to me on the couch is one of my favorite. This was like a holy grail. It's a little heart-covered Chanel bag. I got this on the Real. Yeah, I'm almost positive. 90% sure I got it on the Real. But it's called like the Chanel Valentine bag, and they have like little hearts all over it. I love this bag, and I'd been looking for it for a while. So I think just do your research. Be diligent about like looking at all the photos, and don't be afraid, especially on eBay, to like ask for more photos if you're like still not sure. My next question is, what was your favorite event you've been to so far this year? Ooh, that's a good question. So often with these questions, I'll just pick like the first thing that comes to my mind because I often think that that's probably my gut reaction is the right answer. So my gut reaction was the TikTok Met Gala watch party. And the reason being two reasons. The event was great. Like, it was really fun. And I did a whole episode about that too. So you can listen to that. I think it's just literally called the Met Gala. But they did a watch party on a rooftop in Midtown. And for me, it was really nice because I love the Met Gala. It's like, you know, the Super Bowl, but I always watch the Met Gala red carpet alone at home. Like, I don't get to watch it with anybody, so it's just like literally me sitting on my couch with like a bunch of snacks and watching it. And so to get to watch it with other creators and other people in the industry who like are as into it as I am, and to get to talk and give feedback and be like, oh, so and so's coming, and like get excited, like it was really, really fun, and I very much so enjoyed that. And then my second reason is like I just love getting dressed up, and I think getting dressed up sometimes is like half of the fun of the event. And so with that event, they really encouraged us to get all dressed up because it was for the Met Gala. So I went all out. As you know me, I wore this like beautiful Christian Siriano floor length. It was a black dress, but with these like hot pink sleeves, and it was just everything. So I think I would say that was my favorite event of the year so far. The next question is, how do you organize your closet? Like items together, question mark, do you have a system? So the way, my closet is a little bit crazy right now, but the way that I usually organize my closet is I organize it by the type of item it is. So when you walk into my closet, on the right hand side on the bottom is all of my skirts, and I have all of my skirts hung up, but then I hang them by skirt length. So it starts with like the longest skirts first, and then it works its way to the front, and at the very front is like my short skirts. That's how I organize that. And then similarly with my dresses are organized the same way, whereas it starts with like long sleeve dresses, and then, short sleeve, spaghetti strap, and then strapless. Like I like to organize that way so that mentally, if I know I'm looking for a certain piece, like I can remember almost every item in my wardrobe for the most part. Sometimes I'll forget and I'll be like, ooh, I forgot I had that. But I, for the most part, remember everything. And so if I'm like, for example, today, I knew I wanted to wear this, it's a long sleeve, sparkly top with feathers. So it's obviously in the long sleeve section of my tops because my tops are organized the same way. Long sleeve, short sleeve, tanks, strapless, etc. So I just go to the long sleeve section, I look, sift through, found it right away. I think that's a very good way to organize because sometimes people just like are like shirts and just put all their shirts in a section. Dresses, put all your dresses in a section, which is totally fine, and that might work for some people, but for me and like the way my brain works, knowing, okay, I'm looking for this specific dress, it's long sleeved, I'm going to the long sleeve section. It's just quicker in the morning too, I feel like, when you're getting ready. And I also have a section just for like really short dresses, like above the knee. Like I just have a section just for all of those, because like I just feel like too, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I want to wear a short dress, and it's a short dress with long sleeves. It just it's easier to find it that way. Shoes, I don't really, and bags, I really don't have a specific organization. I have these two sets of like shelves that are more so very much so on display, and I just have all of like my favorite designer shoes on the bottom two shelves of those. So I know if like I'm looking for one of my designer pairs, like it's got to be there. I have like a very specific spot that like I keep like my blue Carrie Bradshaw Manolos in, so they just always stay right there. I wish I had a better organization system with my bags, honestly, because that's the one that sometimes I'm like, where's this bag? And then I start digging through. I have like little cubbies for my bags, and then bags are everywhere, and I'm like, oh wait, it was over there. So I definitely need to work on bag organization, but clothing, have it down stat. And I'm also not really one to organize by color. I know some people do that, but I would rather organize by the sleeve length, just because, to say I have a day where like I don't have a specific look in mind, I'm kind of just walking into my closet and I'm like, okay, it's 50 degrees out, so like there could be a little bit of like a breeze, but it's not super cold. I want something with a long sleeve, but then maybe I want like a short skirt. I would rather be able to go in and look at all of my long sleeves right away, and then all of my short skirts, and kind of like make decisions that way, rather than be like having to go through every color. That's just what works for me. My next question is, what's your all-time favorite item in your closet? Whew, that is such a hard question, because that's like picking, I don't know, like, so if you asked a mother to like pick her favorite child, that's literally the equivalent of that for me. Okay, so if I, again, just follow my gut, and like my gut instinct was to say, I have this vintage Oscar de la Renta, strapless, poofy, hot pink tulle dress that goes like to the knee, and then it has like black piping and little black bows on it. That dress was actually my cousin's. My cousin is like I'm 31. I think she's around 40. And she wore it for like a formal dance in like high school or something. And it no longer fits her. And she, long story short, when I was getting into fashion, she was like, you can just have it. And I was like, what? So it is one of my prized possessions. It's hung right at the very front of my closet. Like, so I let the tool like stick out and be on display because I'm also, this closet is for functionality, but it's a little bit for display too. We like to just see the items and let them have their moments. So I love that item. One, because it's such a beautiful item. I've like never seen it again. Two, I love it because she gave it to me and because she was just so kind to know I loved fashion so much and to be like, I feel like it'll be safe with you. Like, here you go. I thought that was like very beautiful of her to give it to me and let me take care of it for her, essentially. Um, and I also love it because there's like a picture of her wearing it with my uncle. Because I think it might have been like a father-daughter thing or something. But I love seeing the photo of them together. And like my uncle is no longer here, so he passed away a few years ago, but I love it because it has so much meaning too, and that's the beauty of fashion. And like on the podcast, like in the interview with Cynthia Rowley, if any of you guys listen to that, I did a great interview with her. We were talking about how like your closet is your memories. It's essentially a scrapbook of everything you've been through, everything you've experienced in life, and that's why I love clothing and fashion so much. Like I can just look at items and it just brings me back to like a very significant moment in my life. And so, yeah, I don't know, that was a tangent of what my favorite item is. That's why never get rid of anything that's really important to you. Like give it to someone who you know will take care of it or put it in storage, get it preserved or something like that. My next question is, what are must-sees for a first-time visit to New York City? Oof. That's a good question too. I feel like, okay, if it's your very first time, you got to just like do all the very touristy things. Like you got to go to the Empire State Building, you got to go to the Statue of Liberty. You got to just like walk around Times Square, as like hectic and crazy as it might be. You need to go see a Broadway play. I don't even know. Go to Brookfield Place and just like walk around Brookfield Place. Walk around the Upper East Side, go to like Lotte Ray, which is I feel like such a Gossip Girl staple. Go to the Met. You gotta go like walk around the Met and then like sit on the Met steps and have a little Met steps moment. I feel like I wouldn't even want to give you like in depth like, ooh, go to this restaurant or that restaurant. Like, yeah, I can tell you that too. But for your first time, you gotta be like that obnoxious tourist, which I love doing in every city I visit. I'm like, if I've never been here, I want to be the tourist. I want to wear like a I Heart Paris t-shirt and I want to walk around and I want to be holding a croissant in one hand and a camera in the other hand, and I just want to be like hopping around. So I think that's what you need to do. Like have what's like something that's so New Yorky. I don't know, a coffee. What's like a New York food? Oh, pizza. A slice of pizza, a New York bagel in one hand, and your camera in the other hand. An I Heart New York shirt that you bought from a vendor in Times Square. Definitely go see a Broadway play. If you're going to see a Broadway play, one of my favorites is Wicked. I love Wicked. I've seen it a bunch of times, and I honestly want to see it again soon. Yeah, definitely visit the top of the Empire State Building. Like, you gotta do that. Hudson Yards is really cool. Just do all of the touristy attractions. And then there's so many good food spots too. Like, I personally, when I visit a new city, I kind of love walking around and just like venturing into food spots. Like, what do I see? What am I smelling that smells delicious? Like, don't be on a schedule. Don't set yourself like 10 a.m. this, 12 p.m. this, like 2 p.m. this. Like, just have days where you can just walk. Go to Soho, just walk around for hours. Go to my vintage stores that I have listed in the vintage store episode for sure, of course, and just be that tourist and enjoy your life and have so much fun. And Yeah, there's nothing. I couldn't even imagine like first time going to New York. That's going to be so special. So just take tons of photos, eat all of the good food, and enjoy every single second of it. The next question is, would you slash have you ever walked in a fashion show? I have not, but never say never. If a brand I love reached out to me and for some reason was like, Caroline, we really want you to walk in our show, I don't know. Like, I'd probably say yes. I'd be so nervous. I'd probably have like the worst stomach pains of my life. I'd be having to go to the bathroom like every 10 seconds. But I do always say, and you gotta practice what you preach. Like, you gotta do things that make you scared in life. Like, I can't always just like be complacent and be comfortable at all times. Like, I need to do things that push me out of my comfort zone. So if someone wanted to hire me to walk in their fashion show, I totally would. But I never have. But I think it could be a really fun experience. My next question is, what city besides New York City could you see yourself and Dave living in? So Dave's my husband, if any of you don't know. Aside from New York, I really don't see us ever leaving New York, but if I could pick like a dream city to live in for a little bit, I'd probably pick Paris. I just love Paris so much, and him and I visited Paris, and we've had so much fun being there. I don't know if I could live there for like years and years and years just because I don't speak French, but maybe for like a year or two, that could be really cool to like try it out for a little bit. A making it in Paris experience. Okay, so I have two questions left. The first one is, how did you meet your husband and how did he propose? Okay, that is like a whole story that I could go on a tangent about. So I do have a whole episode for my wedding. It's two parts. So it's like a wedding series. And I talk all about this, how we met in college and how he proposed to me in a lavender field. So definitely go check that out because I could go on and on about that. And I already did in another episode. So definitely go check that out. And then my last question is, I'm going to school for fashion soon. Any advice for new fashion students? So, congratulations, first of all. That's so exciting. There's nothing like starting, your first semester of college and being on your own and, just figuring yourself out. My biggest advice, get involved, like meet people, join clubs, say yes to new opportunities. Everyone's, I don't know, going to dinner together at the cafeteria, like say yes, go with them. Everyone's doing like a field trip to, I'm making this up, but like a fashion, something or other, like go, like don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be shy. Say yes to new opportunities, and be willing to learn. I think going into your freshman year of college, like it's important to remember there's so much you don't know yet, and that's okay. Like you're so young, you're just starting out, and that's the time to make mistakes, to grow, to figure it out. So just be willing and open to learning and listening and saying yes to new opportunities and not being afraid to fall down and make mistakes and try out new things. College is the best time to try out things. If you're studying fashion, maybe you love design, but you're also into styling. Like, try it all out. That's the time to try it out and figure out what you love before you essentially graduate. But just enjoy it. College goes so fast in the blink of an eye. The other day I was actually walking down the street and two girls ran up to me who go to FIT, and they both followed me and they wanted advice, and I said just enjoy it. Like college goes by so fast, and you don't realize it until you're out of it, but it's such a unique and weird time. It'll never happen again in your life. Like that feeling of your only responsibility is going to class every day and submitting your assignments. The group of people you're with, like you will never be with that exact group of people ever again in your whole life. Your next biggest stress is, should I go to that party tonight or should I not? Like it's such an odd time in your life where you don't have real stress. Like yes, it's very stressful, but it's a time, I don't even know how to describe college and life in college, but it's so unique and it never happens again. And work will always be here and life out of college will always be here. So just don't rush growing up. Be a kid for a little bit longer. enjoy it, take it all in, and just learn a lot and have so much fun. So that is a wrap on our Q&A episode. I hope you loved it. Make sure to send me more questions so that we can do episodes like this more often, and I will see you guys soon.